Halifax. Now it is a part of NASCAD, that is Nova Scotia College of Art and Design. And that's where students go and study about film and television. And then they are unemployed. No, I'm just joking, guys, I'm just joking. Alright, we're coming up here in front of the Citadel Hill, and you can see the welcome sign is written in 3 different languages, that is English, French, and Mi'kmaq. Citadel Hill is our National Historic Site, and it is the second most visited National Historic Site in Canada. Last year, approximately 700,000 people visited Citadel Hill. Back in time, used to be the highest point in Halifax, so British made a fort there. The fort at the top of Citadel Hill is called Fort George. From there, they can keep an eye on the French that were trying to come in from the harbour side. You can see the beautiful harbour on your right-hand side. A lot of people also visit Citadel Hill because they have robotic lawnmowers, and apparently everyone hates mowing their lawn. You can see one of them is cutting the grass up there. Those lawnmowers have funny names. One of them is called Triminator. The other one is called Prince Edwin. Coming here on your right-hand side is a clock tower. This clock tower was built by Prince Edward because whenever he used to be in town, he used to ask people why you were late. And everyone would say, we don't have a watch, we don't know the time. So he built the biggest clock tower. The only problem with the clock tower is each clock is off by a couple of minutes, so nobody made it on time. Alright guys, coming here on your left very soon, you're gonna see a guard standing outside at the front gate. And that guard represents 78th Scottish Highlander. That was the very first regiment that British founded. The guards doesn't like us because every time we make up here, he will turn around and leave. See? He left. Don't know where did he go. Oh, right there. See? He left. Now he's turning back when we're leaving. Every noon, they fire a cannon from here. It's called noon gun. They fire the cannon every day, except on Christmas Day. If you hear the cannon, it's called noon time. If you don't hear the cannon, well, it's every other time except noon time. Coming here on your left-hand side, you're gonna see a pit. It's called Pit of Death. When British were constructing the fort, they thought in case someone climbed this hill, I don't know who's gonna do that, but in case someone climbed the hill, there will be tall grass, nobody would be able to see the pit, fall in that and die. Can anyone guess how many times the fort was attacked? 0, that's correct. Everyone was lazy, so nobody climbed the hill. You know, so fort was never attacked, but it was conquered once. A brave lady came from Toronto. Her name was Catherine. When nobody was watching, Catherine took down the Union Jack and raised her own flag, a flag of 2 martini glasses. And she called it the Fort of Catalonia. For her crime, she was banned from entering the fort forever and Halifax for 10 years. As we turn around here, on your right-hand side, you can see the north end of Halifax. North End was the most affected region during the Halifax explosion. Once we're in the water, well, once the Harbour Hopper is in the water, I'm going to talk more about the Halifax explosion. Alright, as we turn around here, we're coming on the back side of Citadel Hill. On your right hand side, you can see a big red color building. According to the high schoolers, this is the most popular high school in Halifax, called Citadel Hill High School. On the back side of Citadel Hill, it's a lot of people come here for sunbathing, as you can see. People come here to spend time with their friends and family. You know, they come here to spend time with their kids, bring their pets here. People come here to have a lunch once in a while. A lot of people come here on a date, and once in a while you will see someone breaking up because everything is downhill after that. Alright, if it's a lot of snow in the winter times, then we can see a lot of people coming for sliding, or if we got enough snow, there's a lot of snowboarding people do here, which is quite amazing to see that. Now coming on your right hand side, very soon you're going to see the beautiful garrison grounds. There we go, you can see the garrison grounds here on your right hand side. Garrison grounds is the natural amphitheater, and this is where all the outdoor music festival happens here. Kanye West has performed here, Backstreet Boys were here, Nickelback was here, so once in a while there are like 20 to 30,000 people. They also do outdoor comedy festival, kite festival. You can see some kites are stuck in the trees. It was lost I think a couple of weekends before. They do Filipino festival, Indian festival, so it's a very happening place. On your left here, you will be able to see the Union Jack The reason Union Jack is here, because the last occupiers of the fort were British. Coming on your left hand side, you're going to see two signaling masts. One tall and another short one. The short one is to send the secret coded messages to different forts around the Halifax, while the tall one was to send the messages to the ships. They used flags and lanterns, and that's how they communicated with different ships and forts. And it is said that the system was so effective that they could send messages up to 150 miles in an hour. If you come during Halloween, they have their own ghost tours. People dress up how they used to dress up in 1800s, take you in the tunnels that are inside the Citadel Hill, and they will take a lantern and tell you all the ghost stories. And I came to know last year that if you get married at the top of Citadel Hill, they'll let you fire the cannon. Alright folks, just a quick reminder, from here the tour goes downhill. Alright, we're making our way towards the Royal Artillery Park. And as we come in front of the Royal Artillery Park, you're going to see a bunch of cannons. On your left hand side, you're going to see some older cannons. And on your right hand side, you're going to see some cannons which are the newer ones. I think we ran out of the space because I think we have better cannons than these ones, so hopefully we're safe. Alright, as we turn around here, coming on your left is Royal Artillery Park. And Royal Artillery Park has the oldest military mess and the oldest military library in North America. And the oldest book written there is called How to Build Military Fortification, written in 1675. The very first 3 times they built a fort on the top of Citadel Hill, it kind of burned down, so I think after the 3rd time someone decided to read that book and finally built a fort. It took them 28 years to build a final fort at the top of Citadel Hill. Now we're making our way towards the Halifax Public Gardens. Just a reminder to people sitting on right hand side, there will be trees that will try to come in and become your friends. Just avoid those trees. Alright folks, as we take a turn here, coming on your right hand side is Halifax Public Gardens. Halifax Public Gardens is the only Victorian era garden in whole of North America. A lot of people say there is another one called Butchart Garden in Victoria, British Columbia, but actually that garden is an Edwardian garden. To be a Victorian era garden, the garden should be fenced, bigger trees on the sides, smaller plants in the middle. There are over 200 varieties of plants and trees from around the globe, including sub-Saharan African plants. Back in time, there were weird rules in the garden, like you were not allowed to walk on the grass, you were not allowed to hold hands, you were not allowed to kiss, and the paths are wide inside enough so that 2 Victorian era women wearing hoopla dress can walk together. They do a bunch of events in the summer. If you come in the early morning, they have this bird watching event. While in the summers, in the daytime, sometimes they have this music concerts. Usually they play jazz music, but once in a while they play different kind of music. Alright, coming here on your right hand side, you can see big iron gates, black in color. These big iron gates were built by the ironsmith of Queen Victoria. Last time, so that's why they only open the big iron gates when there is a royalty in town. Last time Queen came in 1997, that was the last time those big iron gates were open. If someone gonna come again, they're gonna open the gate again. Otherwise, the big gates remain closed and smaller gates remain open for public. The best time to come to the garden is either during a hot sunny day. You can buy an ice cream, sit under a tree, or come during the fall. You can see all the beautiful colors inside the garden. Definitely fall is the most busiest season for the Halifax Public Gardens. The garden is open year-round but mostly busy in the summer. It is 16 acres in size, and a lot of people say it is loosely based on St. James Park in London. Spring Garden Road is the busiest road east of Montreal, north of Boston. Back in time, used to be a lot of Victorian era homes here, but with time people bought those houses and turned into different businesses, mostly bars. Except one last Victorian era home still left on Spring Garden Road that I'm going to show you very, very soon. Coming on your left hand side, you're going to see my favorite place on Spring Garden Road. It's called Cow's Ice Cream. Never had a Cow's Ice Cream. I would highly recommend to try the ice cream. One of the best ice cream in the world is Cow's. They have a lot of flavors like peach melba, PEI apple crisp, coconut cream pie. There's a flavor called moon mist that you might not get outside of Nova Scotia. Definitely give it a try. This is Jennifer's of Nova Scotia on your left hand side. If you're interested in buying some souvenirs from, made in Halifax or made in Nova Scotia, definitely go to Jennifer's of Nova Scotia. 80% of their products are made in Halifax Region Municipality. It is said that every year over 11 million people cross through the Spring Garden Road here. Alright, as we go past from here, coming on your left hand side, you're gonna see the very last Victorian era home still left on Spring Garden Road. Right here you can see the last Victorian era home. Not in a great condition and definitely not a great view. But if you have between $7 to $9 million sitting in your bank account, you can get one of these, and guess what? You will be the neighbors of Tim Hortons. So you don't have to drive every day for a hot coffee and a hot bagel. Now back in time, it used to be a freshwater spring used to flow from the garden under this road. That's why the name comes Spring Garden. With time that water dried out, but the name stays there. Alright folks, coming here on your right hand side, you can see the Halifax Central Library. And if you look at the library, it looks like a stack of books on a coffee table with top floor as 360-degree view. Halifax Central Library was inaugurated in 2014 and cost $57 million to build this library. There's a concert theater, conference room, recording studio, a grand piano of $60,000. The stairs inside look like from the movie Harry Potter. It has only 5 floors, but it got a lot of stories. Alright, coming up here on your left hand side is the Halifax Memorial Library, built in 1950. And in front of that, actually you can see on your left hand side, there's a statue of Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill was very happy with Halifax, how it supported Europe during the war. He visited Halifax a couple of times. One time he was walking uphill on Spring Garden Road. Someone took his picture and built his statue. And that's why his statue is here. Alright, coming up here on your left is a beautiful church. This church is called St. Mary's Cathedral. And coming on your right here is a cemetery called Old Burying Ground. Alright, now a little bit about the church here. St. Mary's Cathedral became a basilica in 1950 when Pope came here. Before this church, the church has the highest granite spire of 189 feet in North America. Pope John Paul celebrated Mass here. Before this church used to be a smaller wooden church called St. Peter's. That was built in 1783 after Irish Catholics were allowed to have a church. If you go inside the church and look out, the roof inside looks like a hull of a ship. The reason is, when they were constructing the church, they cannot find any roof builders, so they hired some shipbuilders. That's why it looks like a hull of a ship. It is open for public in the weekdays, so you can go there. They even have a tour guide inside, so it will give you a whole tour of this beautiful church. Alright guys, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the cemetery here. When British landed in 1749, the first thing they did, founded a cemetery called Old Burying Ground. Why? Because back in time, wherever British go, people die. So people were dying to get in. I know, it's a bad joke. There are over 12,000 people buried there, but only 1,200 gravestones. Because back in time, people were buried in stacking method. The most famous person that is buried there goes by the name Major General Robert Ross, aka Bob Ross. We call him Bob Ross. Major General Robert Ross was an Irish guy who served in the British Navy and fought the British-American War of 1812. In 1812, he and his men attacked Washington, D.C., won that area war, and then went around and burned all the government buildings, including White House. And it is said that White House was so badly burned that they have to paint it white. That's why White House is white. In 1814, he and his men attacked Fort McHenry in Baltimore, and they attacked using Congreve rockets. While they were attacking with Congreve rockets, there was a man on a ship who saw the American flag shining and wrote a poem called Star Spangled Banner. That person was Francis Scott Key, and that's how America got its national anthem. In that war, Major General Robert Ross died. Before he died, his last wish was to bury somewhere in Ireland, but Ireland was too far, so what his men did? Put his body in a barrel of Jamaican rum and sent it to Halifax. When his body arrived here, his body was pickled. He was buried here, and then his friends thought why we should waste that old rum, so they drank all the rum. You know, that was the very first time in Halifax someone drank a full body rum. Now, if you're visiting, quick story, now if you're visiting Halifax for the very first time, you can visit the Point Pleasant Park. Point Pleasant Park is still owned by British, and it's on a lease to Canadians for 999 years. And it is said that every year, British ambassadors come to Halifax to collect that 1 shilling from the mayor of Halifax. So yeah, give it a try. It's a beautiful, small mini forest, I would say. That's what I see. But it's a great place, definitely to check it out. Alright, coming here on your left-hand side, you can see the St. Paul Anglican Church. St. Paul Anglican Church is the oldest Anglican church in North America, built in 1749. If you see the top of the church was built in Boston and then bought and installed here like Lego bricks. Prince Edward used to worship here all the time. That's why it is also an official church for royals. If any royalty is in town, they can use this church. Coming on your left here is the Grand Parade Square. And this is where all the civic events happen in Halifax, like lighting of our Christmas tree and 31st December events. And coming here again on your left, you're gonna see a beautiful city hall. Back in time, that's where Dalhousie University used to be. As city grew, they took this place from Dalhousie and made it City Hall. City Hall loves us. That's why you're gonna see a sign here that's gonna say Hello Harbour Hopper. The sign is up here. There you go. You can see the sign. It says Hello Harbour Hopper. Back in time, basements used to be prisons. So the magician Harry Houdini came here and said, I will escape. So they stripped him naked, left him in his underwears, and put him inside the prison. Several minutes later, he escaped, went to a nearby bar, and from there he called the police chief and said, come, let's have a drink together, and please return all my clothes. Alright, coming up here on your left here is the Scotia Square, and you're gonna see a bunch of paintings here outside. These paintings are made by the indigenous kids about their culture and heritage. Now I'm gonna stop talking very soon because Captain has to let the harbor know that Harbour Hopper is coming in the water. Before I do that, I just want to remind everyone to please keep your hands and legs inside. Also, keep your favorite kid and your husband inside. Now stay seated while the Harbour Hopper is going in the water. And very important thing, please hold something strong while the Harbour Hopper makes its way in the water. Especially people with the kids. If you decided to take a video or take a picture, make sure hold your phone because several people have lost their phone, including our captains. They have lost the phone in the harbor. If it goes in the harbor, it's not coming back. Very important question for this tour. Are you guys looking for a small splash or a big splash? I always like the enthusiasm of people sitting at the back, you know. Better question, big splash or a huge splash? Huge splash? Alright. Well, you guys asked for a huge splash, we'll give you a huge splash. Alright guys, just a reminder, please hold your kids and make sure hold something strong next to you. Alright guys, you guys like that splash? You guys want another splash? If you like another splash, once we go back, just buy the tickets, come back, we'll give you another splash. Also look around, you might get a chance to see some sea life here, you know, once in a while. You get a chance to see some otters, some porpoises, some seals, include Navy seals. And then I haven't seen a shark, but once in a while people see some sharks here. If you do see a shark, please let me know. I would also like to see a shark. Alright guys, now I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Halifax Harbour. On your right hand side you can see two buildings. Look like these buildings are made of Lego bricks with a lot of glass mirrors outside. These two buildings are called Purdy's Wharf or Purdy's Tower. When they were constructing these buildings, rather than using a regular cooling system, they hired students from Dalhousie Engineering, and they came with a genius plan called geothermal cooling. What it means is they have white pipes that take cold ocean water and circulate around the building, and that's how they cool down the building. Every year, they save over $100,000 and use that money in terms of having an on-site daycare as well as free internet. I don't think anyone would say no to free internet. Alright, coming here on your right-hand side is another building. This is Marriott Hotel. And you can see outside the Marriott Hotel there are some beautiful paintings. Every 3 to 4 weeks, Marriott hires a local artist and they come around and make these kind of paintings. It's kind of give a new look to the hotel. When Marriott started, this used to be the front entrance of the hotel, but very soon then Marriott realizes that nobody is swimming and coming to the hotel, so now this is the back entrance of the hotel. On your left you can see my beautiful boat. Now this. That is, on the other side is the sister city of Halifax called Dartmouth. Dartmouth got electricity 5 years later than Halifax, so people of Halifax used to call it the dark side because it was literally dark. If you ask what's in Dartmouth, I'll always tell you it has beautiful views of Halifax. Alright guys, coming here on your right hand side, very soon you're gonna see a ferry here. The ferry coming up on your right hand side is called Halifax Ferry. Halifax Ferry is the oldest saltwater ferry in North America, started in 1749. Back in time, it used to be one guy rowing a boat. It took him 2 hours to go from Halifax to Dartmouth and only took one person. Later changed to a horse-powered ferry. That means there was a horse inside the ferry that will go in circles and turn the wheels. That's why a horse-powered ferry. And now it is a diesel-powered ferry. Only costs $3 and 8.5 minutes to go from Halifax to Dartmouth. Every year, over 1 million people use this ferry to commute between Halifax and Dartmouth. Now coming up on your right hand side you can see two boats. These are party boats. How people party in Halifax? Well, they go on the boats and get drunk. That's the easiest way to party. Right after the party boats is a Cable Wharf restaurant. If anyone is looking to get some seafood, you can go to the Cable Wharf restaurant. It's a great place. They even have a nice patio outside so you can sit and enjoy the view of this beautiful harbor. Now, coming after the Cable Wharf restaurant, you're going to see the clock tower you saw on Citadel Hill. You will have a couple of seconds to take a postcard style picture. So you want a really good picture, make sure your mobile cameras are ready. There we go, guys. Now you can see the clock tower up there on Citadel Hill. Alright, coming up here is another tower. This tower here on your right hand side is called Tidal Tower or Tidal Beacon. This tidal tower, as you guys know, Nova Scotia has the highest tides in the world, so this tidal beacon helps boats and ships navigate into the harbor. If top lights are on, that's high tide. If lower lights are on, that's low tide. There's a restaurant under the tower goes by the name Mystic. Came on 21st position in all over Canada this year. They're only taking people by reservation and open between 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Starting menu prices are between $170 to $180 per person. Coming next here on your right hand side is Maritime Museum of Atlantic. If you're interested in seeing souvenirs from Titanic as well as Halifax Explosion, Maritime Museum of Atlantic is a great place. It is one of the biggest maritime museums in all over Canada. Coming here is CSS Acadia. CSS Acadia was the very first boat used by Canadians to survey Arctic Circle. Next to CSS Acadia is K181, also known as HMCS Sackville. HMCS Sackville is the last corvette left in Canadian Navy. It's a Flower class corvette built by British around 1943 and 44 and used by Canadians to work as an escort ship to save US Navy from U-boats. Living conditions were terrible, so youngest captain on the boat was only 25 years old. And if you have seen the movie Greyhound, done by Tom Hanks, the boat they show in the movie is K181. They are open for public for small donations. You can go inside the boat and check out this beautiful boat here. Coming up here on your right hand side is the most popular place at the waterfront. You can see there's a lineup of people. It's called Beer Garden. Once in a while people get lost inside Beer Garden. Next to that, coming up is a small area. This is where all the bunch of events happen on the weekends. Small huts are here. People come and sell their local food. There was a Asian food festival happened here. There was a Latino food festival happened here. On the weekends, on Sundays, they have a dance here, salsa dance. So it's quite a happening place. You can see people are here enjoying the view. Coming here on your right hand side is the Halifax Boardwalk. Halifax Boardwalk is the longest boardwalk in the world. It is 4 kilometers long, so you can spend your whole day on the waterfront. Last summer they used to have a hammocks here. I don't know why there are no more hammocks here, but usually last summer there were hammocks here. You can come down, get some ice cream or some food, sit on the hammocks, enjoy the view, take a sleep. They were quite popular actually last year. You might have to stand next to the hammocks to take them. Everyone was there next to the hammocks. Alright, coming up here on the right, you're going to see another Cow's ice cream. Cows are very, very popular in Halifax. We have a bunch of cows all around downtown Halifax. You can see there's a big lineup outside just to get the ice cream. Coming on your right, you're going to see another place with a big red umbrellas outside. That place is called Bicycle Thief. Bicycle Thief was started by Italian guys, so they serve seafood in Italian style. In a peak season like this, if you want a table, you have to book the table 3 to 4 months in advance. But if you do go there and try their butterscotch cake, it is fantastic. Now in front of the Bicycle Thief, Coming on your right hand side, you're going to see some weird looking night lamps. All these lamps didn't happen. Why they look like is not because of the bad weather. They were supposed to be like this. You can see the one is fallen on the ground. That is called drunken fell over. Someone who is drunk can't stand up. The one looking on that side is called the onlooker. That's your mom friend, put in a taxi if you're sick or drunk and send you home. And the one looking on our side is called the biological mean. Up to 2017, there used to be a fountain coming from the street lamp next to into the ocean, but people were taking pictures and imitating something else. So city was getting a bad name, so they have to shut it down. On your right hand side, you're also going to see the new building here. It's called Canard Residences. This is the most expensive place to live in Halifax. A 2-bedroom apartment is around $7,000 a month. Alright, we're making our way towards the Seaport District here. And that the Seaport District is a place where all the cruise ships come in. Last year there were days in the peak season, around 5 to 6 cruise ships will be coming in. But this year there are only 3 to 4 cruise ships because I think the port realizes that they can't hold that many cruise ships. In the Seaport District is also the Farmers Market of North America. Farmers Market, which is the oldest farmers market in North America, started in 1749. They are open on weekends, so definitely I would suggest to go and check out the Farmers Market, which is a great place. Oh, hi, hello. On your right you can see the Western Nova Scotia. These were built in 1928 from East Coast to West Coast by the Canadian Railways and later sold to different companies. This Western Nova Scotia is famous because in 1983 Prince Charles and Princess Diana came here and stayed at that hotel. As we turn around here, coming on your right very soon, you're going to see the beautiful island called George's Island. Alright, as we turn around, coming here is the George's Island. George's Island is named on King George II, and there's a fort inside the island called Fort Charlotte. When British landed in 1749 here, they found French and indigenous people already living here, and back in time British and French didn't have a good relationship. All the people say it's the same now. So what they did, picked up any French they could found and put them here. It is said that at one point of time there might be 3,000 to 5,000 French living on the island. Most of the French ended up in Louisiana, called Cajun population. Those Cajun people actually came from a place called Acadia, which is an hour away from here, and Cajun means Acadians. Most Cajun can trace back their roots, while some still have families there. When British landed on the island, they found rats and mouse caused diseases. So what they did, bought some gardener snakes. Those snakes ate all the rats, all the mouse, all the mice. When nothing left, they start eating insects. Because there is no predator, now this island has the largest population of gardener snakes in the entire world. There are a couple of thousands of snakes. If you're interested in taking a tour of the George's Island, Ambassador Tour will take you there, and there's a Parks Canada guide that will give you a tour of this place, tell you the history of the island, and if it's your lucky day, you might get a chance to see some snakes. Now I'm going to stop talking because I know you guys are super bored, but I'm just going to come around, take your pictures. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
生气我把不是这个意思。是。
folks. I'm going to tell you the story of Halifax explosion. Straight in front of us is a bridge called McDonald Bridge. Next to the bridge is the smokestack pillars which are red and white in color, and that place is called the Narrows. And that's where the two ships collided. On December 6, 1917, there was a French ship called Mont Blanc. It was carrying a lot of explosives coming into the harbor, and a Norwegian ship called Emo going out of the harbor. They collided right there at 8:45 a.m. and at 9:04 a.m. the Mont Blanc exploded. The explosion covered roughly 1 to 2 square mile radius, killing 2,000 people instantly, 9,000 wounded, and 25,000 were homeless. On the night of explosion, a big snowstorm came, so the city couldn't provide much help. So when Boston came to know, they sent a team of Red Cross doctors and nurses. So as a thank you from that year, each year, Nova Scotia sends its biggest Christmas tree to Boston. There's someone hired by the government. Their job is to go find a big, beautiful Christmas tree, cut it down, put it on a truck. A parade happens here, and then Mayor of Halifax goes to Boston, and they light up the Christmas tree. If you have seen the movie Oppenheimer, there is actually a 30-second clip about Halifax explosion. Halifax explosion was the biggest explosion in mankind before US dropped a nuke on Japan. Coming straight in front of us is the naval base in Halifax. Canada has 2 naval bases, one in Victoria, British Columbia, and one in Halifax. Halifax one is the biggest one because it is right on Atlantic Ocean, and Canada is a part of NATO. So a lot of NATO ships come here in the summer. Ships come from US, UK, Germany, France, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, Denmark, Netherlands, Australia, and many more. The biggest ship that has come here is an American aircraft carrier and a British aircraft carrier. Right now here you can see the American frigate that has been here. It has been here for like a couple of days, I would say. Before that there was a French ship here. And once in a while we also get a chance to see some submarines here. Now I'm going to stop talking because Captain has to let the harbor know that Harbour Hopper is coming out of the water. While the Harbour Hopper is going out of the water, it's going to get bumpy, so hold something strong next to you. Just a quick reminder to everyone, any vehicle can get into the water, but only Harbour Hopper can get out of the water. Alright folks, coming here on your left hand side you can see Casino Nova Scotia. At one point of time, Casino Nova Scotia was owned by the Caesar Palace in Las Vegas, but it somehow went bankrupt, so now it is owned by the Great Canadian Gamble Corporation of Canada. Right now they have a summer barbecue buffet going on, as well as on the weekends they have a prime ribs buffet. Sorry, I just love buffets, so can't stop thinking about it. Alright folks, now I'm going to tell you the story of Titanic and its connection to Halifax. Titanic happened on the midnight of April 14 and 15 of 1912, and it happened around 170 miles from the coast of Newfoundland and around 900 miles from the coast of Halifax. when Titanic happened, they sent an SOS signal, but Newfoundland couldn't send help because their harbor freezes every winter. So 3 cable ships went from Halifax because Halifax is the second deepest ice-free harbor in the world. The first one is in Sydney, Australia. Those 3 cable ships went in hopes of finding survivor, but they cannot find any survivor. Sadly, they found 150 bodies of victims, out of which 121 are buried in the North End Fairview Cemetery that is open for public to go and visit at any point of time. If you go to the North End Fairview Cemetery, you're going to see several gravestones, but one gravestone stands out, goes by the name J. Dawson. If you remember the 1997 Titanic movie, the name of Leonardo DiCaprio character was Jack Dawson. So a lot of people who visit the gravesite every year, and a lot means thousands and thousands of people, they think it's the same person. So they drop money, love letters, flowers, clothes. Some people even sing at the gravestone, not realizing it's a different person that is buried there. The person who is actually buried there goes by the name Joseph Dawson, who was an Irishman and a coal shoveler at Titanic. But people don't know that, and I think City decided to play with people, so nobody tells them who exactly that is. So people are still doing that. Alright, coming up here on your right hand side, you can see the statue of Van Pal from Jumanji. No, I'm just joking, guys. That's actually one of the Canadians who fought in the Boer War. That was fought between British and South African. This is Province House on your right hand side. It is the oldest legislative building in Canada. And here is the statue of Joseph Howe on your right hand side. You can see he's the very first person to wave at the people of Harbour Hopper. We told him he doesn't have to wave anymore, but he's quite stiff, so he doesn't listen to us. Joseph Howe was a local Nova Scotian who has a newspaper called Nova Scotian. In his newspaper, he talked about the corruption that politicians are doing, which is not new. But politicians didn't like it, so they put him in a jail and started a trial against him. He went around trying to find a lawyer for himself who can take his case, but nobody was ready to take his case. So he said, I'm going to fight my own case. He fought his case for 6 straight hours, and apparently by the end of the 6th hour, jury wanted to go to the washroom, so they let him go free, and that's how Canada got freedom of press and speech. One last piece of history is Alexander Keith's brewery. Alexander Keith was a Scottish guy, came to Halifax to make a fortune. He learned how to make a beer and started his own brewery. His beer became very famous. Every year on his birthday, people come and drink all day and night. Coming on your left-hand side is the Marriott Hotel. Tucked behind Marriott is the Alexander Keith Brewery. You can go take a tour of the brewery, and by the end of the tour, you also get a chance to try different samples of beer. Sadly, our tour is coming to an end. I don't want you guys to go, but I know some people enjoyed the splash, so probably you're going to buy the tickets again. I hope you guys enjoyed the tour and had a wonderful experience. If you do, tips or gratuities are highly appreciated. We also love to read some good reviews about ourselves. If you want to leave a 5-star review, don't forget, my name is Chris. This is Captain Liam. In case you didn't enjoy the tour, no need to leave the bad review. But if you still decided to leave a bad review, in that case, my name is Cinderella. Driving this boat is Batman. Please stay seated while we are in the Harbour Hopper. Once we are in the parking lot, I'm going to put down the stairs and you guys are good to go. One last thing. Once we reach the parking lot, I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, go crazy, make some noise so that my manager know I did a great job on this tour. There we go, guys. On the mark, 1, 2, 3, everyone. Thank you, guys. Thank you for taking tour with Harbour Hopper, and have a wonderful stay in tropical Halifax.